What happens when a simple diary becomes an act of rebellion? How does propaganda shape our perception of truth in the digital age? Can we spot the slow erosion of our freedoms before it's too late? Those questions and more will be explored in this episode, a conversational deep dive into Chapter 4 of the novel From Trumerica with Love by Logan Emery Emerson. From Trumerica with Love is a modern retelling of George Orwell's 1984, as reimagined in a current-day version of America ruled by leader for life, Donald Trump. Here is Sharna and Damien's conversation.
Ever get that feeling? You open a book and it's like looking into a funhouse mirror, one reflecting back a distorted, kind of creepy version of our own world. Well, buckle up, because that's exactly where we're headed in this deep dive. We're cracking open Logan Emery Emerson's From Trumerica with Love, specifically Chapter 4, for a taste of what he imagines a modern-day 1984 would look like.
And let me tell you, Emerson doesn't pull any punches. We're talking Trumerica, folks.
Yeah.
A society where leader for life, Donald Trump, yeah, you heard that right, along with his corporate cronies, are calling all the shots, and every move you make, every breath you take, is under their watchful eye.
So not exactly a picnic, huh? And right from the get-go, we're thrown into this pressure cooker with Liam, our protagonist, who's scribbling away in his diary. Now, that might sound innocent enough, but in Trumerica, a diary is practically a declaration of war.
Think about it. It's the ultimate act of rebellion in a world where even thinking the wrong thing can get you shipped off to who knows where, right? Just like Winston, holed up with his little journal in good old 1984. Emerson nails that same feeling of claustrophobia, that constant fear of someone looking over your shoulder, even within your own four walls.
And speaking of prying eyes, Liam's seemingly innocent chat with his neighbor Evelyn and her kids takes a turn for the seriously creepy. Forget tag or hide and seek. These kids are part of the deplorables. Yeah, you heard that right. It's like a youth group straight out. Well, you get the picture. And their whole deal is being the eyes and ears of the regime.
And it gets worse. These kids are practically giddy about the upcoming executions of political prisoners. Talk about a gut punch, right? Emerson forces us to face a harsh reality. Totalitarian regimes don't just oppress, they indoctrinate, and they start young. It makes you wonder, about how fragile things like empathy and compassion really are, especially when you're being fed a steady diet of fear and propaganda from a young age.
Chillin' stuff. And that whole thing about kids being encouraged to rat out their own parents for any whiff of disloyalty. Talk about an instant recipe for paranoia, right? But it's not just the kids. Liam's drowning in a sea of propaganda everywhere he turns.
Ah, yes, the portals, Emerson's 21st century take on Orwell's telescreens. Every wall, every surface, it's all just one big, constant stream of carefully curated news and information, all designed to lull the good people of Trumerica into a nice, compliant stupor.
Weaponized information overload, that's what it is. And the news reports. Masterclasses in manipulation, I tell you. War is spun as glorious, dissent is for dangerous radicals, and a corporate tax increase, get this, is somehow a win for the little guy.
Classic doublethink in action. Dress up a corporate power grab in the language of populism. It's almost comical if it wasn't so damn effective and terrifying when you think about how easily we can be manipulated by language.
It's like you see right through it, but at the same time you almost get swept up in it. And that whole vibe, that constant feeling of being watched, of Big Brother's eyes on you, it's not just in the story, it's on the book cover itself, don't you think?
Absolutely. You look at that cover with that giant disembodied eye looming over this dark, ominous cityscape. It's like a punch in the gut. It's Emerson's not-so-subtle way of saying, hey, reader, you're being watched too. Pay attention.
It's like that feeling you get when you realize your phone's camera is facing the wrong way. You think, oh, great, how long has it been recording? But in Trumerica, that feeling never goes away. For Liam, it's this constant weight, always looking over his shoulder.
And you really feel for the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Emerson does this brilliant job of getting inside Liam's head and showing us how this oppressive atmosphere seeps into every aspect of his life. Like, even the simplest act of connecting with someone becomes this huge struggle.
He's starved for genuine human interaction. And you can't help but think about our own world, How much are we sacrificing real connection for the sake of likes and followers and all that?
Right. It's like we're trading depth for breadth, real conversations for carefully curated online personas. And just when you think Liam's hit rock bottom, Emerson throws us another curveball, this time in the form of Brett Brannon, the chief operating officer, no less.
Yeah, talk about a curveball. Is this guy a friend or foe? Hard to tell, right? especially with that cryptic message he throws at Liam, "The truth will emerge where there is no darkness." What's that even supposed to mean?
See, that's the beauty of Emerson's writing. He drops these little nuggets of ambiguity that leave you guessing and debating long after you've put the book down. Is Brandon dropping a hint, offering a warning, or just messing with Liam's head? It's up to us to decide.
It's like he's constantly keeping us on edge, never letting us get too comfortable. But even with all the darkness and paranoia swirling around, there's something really powerful about Liam's commitment to that diary of his.
Absolutely. It's his lifeline, his one tiny act of rebellion in a world that seems hell-bent on controlling every aspect of his existence.
It really makes you think about the power of writing, right? Even in the face of overwhelming oppression, when every word could be your last, it's a way for Liam to reclaim his voice, to hold on to some semblance of his own identity.
Exactly. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, Our innate need to express ourselves, to document our experiences, to leave some kind of record of our existence. And it's through these secret scribblings that we see Liam wrestling with the big questions, the ones we're all grappling with, really. What is truth? What does it mean to be free? And how do we hold on to hope when everything seems hopeless?
And that brings us to what I think is one of the most powerful moments in the entire chapter. Liam's toast.
Oh, yeah, the toast. Chills, man, chills.
In this society where conformity is celebrated and questioning the status quo is basically asking for trouble, he raises his glass to a future where diversity is celebrated, not feared, where the truth is sought, not suppressed, and where what is done can't be undone. I mean, talk about a gutsy move.
Right, and what makes it even more powerful is how grounded it is in the reality of Liam's situation. He's not just spouting some abstract pie-in-the-sky idealism. He's talking about real, tangible things that matter. Diversity, truth, accountability. It's like he's drawing a line in the sand saying, this is what I believe in, even if it costs me everything.
And that's where the parallels to Orwell's 1984 become impossible to ignore, right? Emerson takes those core Orwellian themes, surveillance, propaganda, the manipulation of language, and gives them this terrifyingly plausible update for the 21st century.
It's like he's holding up this funhouse mirror, but instead of distorting our reflections, it's distorting our reality, making us confront the uncomfortable truths about how power operates in our own world, how technology can be used for both good and evil, and how easily we can become complicit in our own oppression if we're not careful.
And it's easy to get complacent, right? To think, oh, that could never happen here. But Emerson's message is clear. It can happen anywhere, at any time, if we're not careful.
Exactly. It's a slippery slope from complacency to complicity. We become so accustomed to the slow erosion of our freedoms, the gradual creep of surveillance, that we don't even realize it's happening until it's too late.
It's a slow boil, isn't it? And before you know it, you're living in a world where you're second-guessing every word you say, every thought you have.
It's like that old saying, the frog in the pot, toss him in boiling water, he'll jump right out, but slowly turn up the heat.
He doesn't even realize he's being cooked. And that's what makes Emerson's book so unnerving, right? It's not just some far-fetched dystopian fantasy. It feels like it's holding up a mirror to the potential darkness lurking just beneath the surface of our own society.
Exactly. It's a cautionary tale, but not a hopeless one. And I think that's a really important distinction. Because while Emerson doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of living under an oppressive regime, he also highlights the power of individual resistance, the importance of holding on to hope, even in the darkest of times.
Right, like Liam with his diary. It's a small act of defiance, maybe, but it's still a powerful symbol. A reminder that even in the face of overwhelming power, we can still choose how we respond, how we choose to see the world, how we choose to define ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think that's a message that's more relevant now than ever, right? In a world where we're constantly being bombarded with information with competing narratives, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel like our individual voices don't matter.
It's like we're drowning in noise, and it's hard to tell what's real anymore, what's true.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to cultivate critical thinking skills, to learn how to discern fact from fiction, to be discerning consumers of information.
Don't just take things at face value, right? Question everything. Do your own research. Be skeptical. Think for yourself.
Exactly. And never underestimate the power of a single voice, to challenge the narrative, to speak truth to power, to inspire others to do the same.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Holding on to that belief that things can change, that a better future is possible, and that each and every one of us has a role to play in creating that future. So if you're looking for a book that will challenge your assumptions, that will make you think critically about the world around you, and that will leave you with a renewed sense of hope, then I highly recommend checking out From Trumerica with Love by Logan Emery Emerson. It's a wild ride, but it's one worth taking. Until next time, keep those thinking caps on, stay curious, and never be afraid to ask the hard questions.
Logan Emery Emerson's dystopian novel, From Trumerica with Love, is available now from bookstores everywhere. Join us for the next episode, a conversational deep dive into Chapter 5 of this reimagining of George Orwell's 1984. In that episode, Sharna and Damien explore questions such as, can love and human connection survive in a world ruled by fear? Thanks for listening.